Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
In a world where shifts can either hold you back or propel you forward, we're here to explore the art and science of harnessing momentum. I'm your host, Eric Collier, and together we'll dive deep into the story, strategy, and mindset of today's guest, who has mastered the art of riding the wave of change. Now let's get this shift started.
The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results.
Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift, where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. I'm excited to have with me tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Imani Capri. She is a radio personality. She's an Amazon International best-selling co-author. She's an energy elevation coach. She's also been elected to office. She's doing all these great things, and I'm just excited to have her on there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Miss Imani Capri.
Thank you so much, Eric, for bringing me on. I'm really happy to be here. And, kudos and congratulations to you for kicking off this new energy, new momentum with your show. So let's go. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I think sometimes we hit that wall or we get stuck in that mental quicksand, and we just need something to get us started again.
Yes.
We got to pick that momentum back up and start doing something different. Sometimes we look at our perspective has to change.
Yeah,
we really got to get things going. So I'm going to kick it off with the best question I can ask you. Mm-hmm. What inspires you to keep going?
What inspires me to keep going?
Yeah. And I guess I probably should have kicked it off with another question, but I want to know what inspires you, because I believe there's a connection to all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are two things that inspire me to keep going. One, on a personal level, to see if I can keep manifesting the life I really want to live. That inspires me to keep going just for myself, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, can I do this next? Like, I really envision this big dream. Can I do it? Right. I want to keep going to manifest, make these meditations and affirmations real.
Right.
On the personal level. And then on the collective, the altruistic level.
Yeah.
I think being able to use the skills and gifts that I have and the wisdom that I have gained so far and what I'm continuing to learn to help, ignite that fire in other people. I do go by the moniker of the #1 energy elevation coach.
I love it.
What does that mean? That means, I help people transform their relationship with fear, stagnation, and stress in order to achieve deeper levels of courage, healing, and their own personal transformation. So, I'm very much an open book with a lot of things in my life.
Yeah.
And what keeps me going is being able to use my gems, use the things that I have been blessed to do or have access to help other people tap into their power and to understand how to use their voice and their courage, and then watch how that changes their lives and what they, how they kind of take off or, level up in their own lives. So.
Yeah. I love that, because I believe there's a connection that you have to have that drives that. And you have that connection. I hear it all the time. In your speech, in your message, you have this connection that drives you to like you said, to help others. And I love that about you. And so I guess I should have started this whole thing off with this question. Who is Imani Capri? I mentioned a few things about you and I apologize. We know you're like the #1 energy elevation coach. You're an Amazon International best-selling co-author. But talk to me. who are you?
Who am I? It's very interesting because a lot of times people define themselves by what they do.
Yes.
And so while there are quite a few things that I have done, that I currently do, and I still strive to accomplish, who I am for real is love and fun
All right.
and courage. And if you really know me, a little bit of spice and
Yeah.
sassiness,
Yeah.
but I am really someone who is a stand for helping people to understand that we are so much more powerful than we know.
Yeah.
And that oftentimes accessing that power and taking that power from like an intellectual theoretical place to a
Yes.
place that really helps you change your life, it all comes with the quality of relationship that you cultivate with yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm somebody who is an energy that is a stand for that.
Mhm.
And continuing to see how I can continue to grow and like enjoy life. I don't think life was meant for us ultimately to suffer,
Yeah.
or to just endure being in the matrix.
Right.
Can we cuss on this show? I don't cuss like a sailor, but I'm so used to being on the radio and
Right.
FCC regulations. I want to make sure. Let me find out what the ground rules are. How free I can be over here on the mic with you.
Right. That's a good question. I've never tested that.
Okay, so we're not gonna do it in my interview then. I'll just have to be mindful of that.
Maybe
But
we'll say that one for another one.
yes, yes, absolutely.
But I think is what sums it up for me. I love you posted something the other day that I saw.
Hmm.
Um, was it moving to your own rhythm? Talk to me about that. I
Oh,
love that. That was awesome.
yeah. So I posted something on my social media, and we try to grow tribe. So for your
Yeah.
people, you can find me on Facebook, Imani Capri. I got 2 pages on Facebook. Just put in Imani Capri, you'll find both of
There
them.
we go.
Instagram, I am underscore Imani Capri, YouTube, Imani Capri, TikTok, the Imani Capri. But what I posted was actually a snippet of a drum circle that I participated in earlier this year it was Father's Day weekend. I
Okay.
have a very dear mentor and friend who is also one of the co-hosts of my show, whose name is Shaman Ra. He's a real shaman
Okay.
and a black male shaman, which I was like, what is that? That is so dope. So
Right.
anyway, he does like this big celebration for fathers um, every year at his home. And he has a pool and big space in the backyard. So I went down there recently for that. And I went there originally to do like an energy clearing for myself. There were some things that I needed to kind of release and let go of. And
I hope you are enjoying this week's interview with the number one energy elevation coach, Imani Capri. Be sure to listen until the end for bonus coverage of her show, Conversations in Courage. Now, back to the show.
it just
Okay.
so happened that, this celebration was going on the next day. So I allowed myself to really participate. And, I don't know if we get into it in this interview, but that was a very healing activity for me because I kind of had some trauma in
Mm.
my childhood related to drumming. Even though I'm a very skilled and trained like hand drummer,
Yes.
I was introduced to it in a way that came with quite a bit of trauma. So for years, we're talking about more than 10 years,
Right.
I wouldn't touch a drum. But when I was down there for that weekend and clearing some things, not only did I pick up a drum and he and I played
Yeah.
quite a few times during my visit, but I allowed myself to just get up and dance and be
Yeah.
free. So what you saw was me kind of just saying, when you find your tribe,
Yeah.
vibe, right? Like when you
Yeah.
find your tribe, like allow yourself to vibe with your tribe.
Right.
And also when you find your rhythm, dance. Like don't hesitate.
Yeah.
Don't get caught in overthinking it. Like when you identify, oh, this rhythm moves me,
Yeah.
let it move you.
There we go.
And so even though I was talking about an experience of dancing in that moment, I got kind of like that spiritual download that's a deeper metaphor and message for life, right? Like
Yeah.
when you really find those people that you feel see you, get you, don't hold back in
Yeah.
engaging with them and bringing the fullness of who you are to those experiences. And when you start to catch your rhythm or find your rhythm in life, ride the beat. Don't
Yeah.
stop.
There we go. I like that.
Mhm.
I picture you, you went down there and you kind of thought about, I really not really interested in being here, but I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. And then I figure, some people will go there and they'll be on the wall and the music's hitting them and they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Then they just don't want anybody to see them. Then all of a sudden it really hits them and they're out there and you start feeling this freedom, don't you?
Yeah, although I went there with the intention of being fully present in
Okay.
everything I knew I was going to experience in that weekend.
Okay.
And part of what I was being intentional about clearing in my session with him was releasing a certain type of fear that was holding me back from stepping into the next level of embracing my success
Okay.
or the excess that I envision to have even beyond now. And
Yeah.
so the drumming circle for me was kind of like that personal declaration of me reclaiming every part of myself that is powerful.
Okay.
The fact that I am, in fact, a trained and very good drummer.
Yeah.
And not many people have known that about me, again, because of what my past was with that. But I just said, there comes a time when it's like, yeah, kill all that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Let it
Step
go.
into who you are
Be like
and
Elsa.
just own it. And so, my mentor who drums
Yeah.
was looking at me like, girl, really? You know what you're doing. Like, what you're doing, like complimentary maybe to like a Sheena Easton kind of.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Shaman, it's real over here,
Uh,
So I just allow myself to have fun. And
yeah.
sometimes in order to have like you talk about kicking off this new momentum,
Yes.
I have found for myself that oftentimes, yes, we encounter obstacles and we all have things to maybe heal and work through at different times in our life. But what I found is that I would often break my own good momentum
Mm.
through personal habits or
Self-sabotage.
fear
Uh-huh.
or, and so there gets to be a time in your life where you get tired of watching other people live and do the things, not hating on anybody, because I
Right.
think there's enough to go around for everybody. But
Right.
there gets to be a point where it's like, I want to be speaking overseas and doing this stuff too.
There we
I,
go.
wa- I deserve to be X. I don't want to take anybody else's,
Yes.
but like, let this not be another year where I look up and say, it's going to be next year I'm going to do this or next year.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know your age group, but I'm in my 40s. And there's just some things that when I get to the beautiful age of 50,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, I did this, I did this, I did
There we
that.
go.
And so what I've had to realize, every elevation into your next level is going to require a new version of you.
There it is.
You cannot go to the next level being the same version of you that got you to where you are. And
Exactly.
so that may mean going back and revisiting some things from your past, going back and making some decisions about fears that you have allowed to cause you to be stagnated. I said, as the number one energy elevation coach, I help people transform their relationship with fear, stagnation, and stress, right?
Right.
So I speak about what I know about because I'm
There we
my
go.
own first client. So
We usually are, right? That's why I consider
I
myself
don't know.
the quicksand expert.
In these days, everybody's hopping on social media and saying they're expert in this, and that. But then
Yeah.
you say, well, what results have you gotten in your own life? And
Yeah.
here we go to Photoshop.
There we
So
go. Right. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. So like what are some of the things that you still battle with on a daily basis? Because I always say that, we as coaches, as speakers, as writers, we're still struggling with some of the things that we've struggled with. We may not be struggling with it as strongly as it was
Yeah.
before, but
Mhm.
there's some things we still battle with.
That it's not going to take me another 20 years to hit, multi-millionaire accomplishment
Yeah.
or to see Conversations Encourage, which is my radio show / podcast, to see it really become the global force for transformation and healing, you know.
Yeah.
So one of my mantras for the show is the #1 power platform celebrating courage, healing, resilience, and transformation.
Mhm.
Like, I mean that. Like, I want to see it
Yeah.
become like a multi-million-dollar brand and enterprise that really helps people transform their lives, right? And
Right.
so I have been on the air with that show for 5, almost 6 years now.
There we go.
Even though it's on a radio station in Cleveland, I don't work for that radio station. This is my independent enterprise
Okay.
and
Just
like,
going out there and making it happen.
service,
Yeah.
but we're moving into a place and space now where it's like my business savvy has to next level, so I think from day to day, I don't know so much that it is as a struggle, but I look at it, it's something that I think about.
Yeah.
Like, I look forward to when the next chapter in my life is me. I'm flying here, I'm flying there. I'm
There we
putting
go.
on the Conversations and Courage Expo, focus on this.
I love
And
it.
I have manifested, you'll hear me talk about this on my show, True Boo, my life partner, and we tag teaming and doing our purpose work together, you
Our
know.
couple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and listen, Eric, keep
Yeah.
it real. You
Yeah.
said what we struggle with. You
Yeah.
can't heal something unless you're honest, right? So
Right.
my honesty is like, I'm in my early mid 40s.
Yeah.
I'm like, when, God, so that's what I struggle with. Like, when is that coming? When is that chapter of, me being the globe trotting
Right.
Conversations and Courage,
Yeah.
ambassador?
Yeah.
Looking forward to that coming. And then when True Boo is gonna show up and
Yeah.
we get out here and do our purpose work together.
Yeah.
So
But I think as long as you keep doing what you're doing, he'll show up. He'll be there. He'll be there.
he
He'll be
will.
there. He will.
But
He'll
you
be there.
asked me, what are my those are like the two things that I try not to. I think this is a key thing that I have learned. Two key things I want to deposit with your listeners. One, the best coaches and mentors have mentors and coaches too.
Exactly.
Okay. So even though I call myself the #1 energy elevation coach, I have mentors and coaches still
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And one thing that one of my mentors, Shaman Ra, always says and teaches is how the greatest way to allow something to manifest in our life is to detach from it. So
Oh,
not to become obsessive
right.
about it or
Right.
win, but
Yeah.
to put like the intention out there,
Yeah.
take the action that you can take, and then release it. Like, actually try to do your best to forget about it. So then
Yeah.
that way you can be at peace to allow it to flow into your life.
Right. That's what I always say when you talk about turning it over to the Lord. That's one of my favorite songs. Turn it over to the Lord. He'll work it out. You got to really turn it over and just leave it over there. You can't just sit there,
Yeah.
come back to him 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes every hour of the day and beg for it, right? Just let it go, right?
And there's another caveat that I like to add on to that, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And that is, I am a Nichiren Buddhist who believes in God.
Yeah.
And it is possible, folks, that you can be Buddhist and believe in God. That's a whole
Right.
other interview. But anyway,
Somebody's out there saying, no, you can't. But anyway.
right. So, one thing that my practice of Nichiren Buddhism the last 20 plus years, chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo like Tina Turner, rest her soul. Even while we are kind of like surrendering things to God, our higher power, the God of your understanding.
Yes.
That doesn't negate the work that you have to do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Faith without works is dead.
Exactly.
So you still got to put in some work to
Totally.
activate that faith. And so
Yeah.
I think, a lot of times we have to be mindful that when we are working to achieve our goals and our dreams, it's not just a matter of, oh, I'm just going to pray about it or say these affirmations and then that's it. Like, no, you have to be developing yourself to be the person, to be an energetic match.
Yeah.
To bringing those things forward, right? And what I have found also in this process is that by not running from the work, by being courageous to really do your work, when those things start to manifest, you have now become the version of you that not only manifests it, but can maintain it when it shows up.
Ooh, watch out. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, most people will, like you said, self-sabotage, ruin it, and go back to what they're more comfortable with.
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, oh man. Yeah, that's a great point right there. So let me ask you, what would you say? Because there are people who are out there who would use the word overwhelmed, right? I'm overwhelmed with the stuff that I asked for, right? And so, what would you say to them? Because I see overwhelmed as it's overwhelming because it's new to me. I've never done it before, and now it's coming at me at a higher level, and so I have to adapt and adjust. But talk to me about how you view that statement. I'm overwhelmed.
Well, I think this kind of relates to like what I was just saying.
Okay.
When what you truly desire starts to show up and manifest in abundance, I think it's very important to ask yourself, one, how do I feel about
Okay.
all of this? And what is my relationship with myself? How do I care for myself every day?
Yeah.
Right? Because really what's on the inside manifests on the outside. And this is another reason why I emphasize, taking your time to be intentional about what it is that you want to bring forward in your life
Yeah.
and not running from doing the work. Because sometimes we can manifest from two places, the ego
Right.
or higher self.
Okay.
The ego can take us very far, and the ego has an appropriate role to play if we give it some task and not let it run the show, right? But when we let the ego run the show, sometimes that ego, that drive, that I got to make this happen, we're doing all the external things that create the causes for some of these things to manifest in our life. But if we
Yeah.
have not cultivated the inner person
Yes.
with practice, right?
Right.
Then when all that stuff shows up, you're overwhelmed because you haven't been practicing being the version of you that can maintain
There we
it
go.
all coming in. So now it's like you have been letting the ego run you to manifest and create your life without nurturing the truth of who you are, which is a spirit, which is a soul, which is energetic.
Yeah.
And so now you're scrambling to become like, oh, now I got to manage this. I got to manage, and I'm not saying people can't do it.
Yeah.
But one thing that I have been learning and continue to learn is that anything that is really built from ego-based desire doesn't last.
Yeah.
There's going to come a point where it's all going to have to be reinvented, right? Whereas if we are building things from the intentional place of, I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and the extent to which I nurture my own mental, spiritual, physical health while, working on manifesting these goals and dreams, making sure that what I'm pursuing is in alignment, maybe with my purpose and the vision that God has for my life. Then over time, I think we become the versions of us that can maintain the things manifesting,
There we go.
you know.
So when you talk about transformation and you talk about becoming that version that we've been manifesting, so I mean, you do a lot. Somebody would look at you and go, man, she's all over the place. And so when you first started, was it radio first? Because I'm thinking you're speaking, radio, you ran for office, you're now you got your podcast rolling. You said what, 5 years?
It's been 5 years, but baby, I feel like we haven't even gotten started yet. Like I
Right.
felt like that was the 5 years was some warm-up laps and figuring out what I'm doing for
Right.
real. So
So did you see you doing all of these things when you first started, or did you say, I'm just going to start here and let it take me where it takes me?
I mean, real spill. So when I was in college, I did an undergrad in broadcast journalism and a master's in digital storytelling and marketing, both at Kent State University. By the time I finished the bachelor's and had some internships and some experience under my belt, I was like, I don't want to work in a newsroom. But it's like I really enjoy the skill set. I'm a communicator,
Yes.
during this time of pursuing my degrees in education, I was also healing from almost a decade of childhood sexual abuse and prosecuting my mom's ex-husband,
Hmm.
and eventually found some healing and personal power in starting to share my story with other people. So that was how I started to discover the gift as a speaker.
Okay.
Um, I always have felt that my purpose and my destiny is to speak. I didn't necessarily see, like how the different things would converge and come together. Politics came way out of left field. I mean, like,
Yeah.
sometimes still forget, oh yeah, I am. I mean, no disrespect to the people I represent. The people I represent, this is not gonna sound good. But there are times when I have to remind myself, okay, I am technically a public official with the Democratic Party.
Right.
And even though it is not a huge role, it's not as big as the office that I ran for and lost,
Yeah.
but it still is something where I have the responsibility, to represent and communicate certain information to the residents in my precinct. So there are some things that I think we have intuitive senses about, and then as we just kind of do our journey, there are many things that kind of unfold and naturally dovetail into each other.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how, I always knew that I would probably do something related to communications. I mean, I majored in broadcast journalism. I've always been a talker.
Right.
Writing, my maternal grandmother, Marilyn Silver Davis, used to always say the quickest way we would know that you were really sick and not faking it is you would be too quiet. You would be quiet. You would stop
Yeah.
talking.
Something's wrong with that baby. She's quiet.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that was always something that I felt was probably like in me. But seeing the direction that would take, I didn't necessarily know for sure, but I just found, I think when you start to discover what some of your gifts and talents and purposes are,
Yeah.
it may not always be something that you process intellectually, but it feels so good. Like when you start doing it, it feels like home.
Right.
So here we are
Yeah.
with the radio show
Yeah.
and speaking, but I
And,
still
and by the way,
Mhm.
congratulations on your nomination and becoming a finalist for
Thank
Rise to Greater
you.
Heights Podcast of the Year.
Yes, yes. I'm super excited about that. I mean, it feels a little bit surreal. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, the judges will have like made their decision.
Yeah.
But I just feel grateful because Conversations and Courage with Imani Capri that's my passion.
Yeah.
It is it's my legacy. Like when I'm no longer here, somehow my goal and my vision again is for Conversations and Courage to not just be, this platform where people come and they share their stories of courage and healing and resilience and in their gems,
Yes.
but where people all around the world can look back and say, I maybe went to like that Conversations and Courage with Imani Capri Expo on, I don't know, healing from your traumatic childhood,
Yeah.
or the motivation and finding the power in your voice, where we have motivational speakers and politicians
Yeah.
talking in different sessions, and how that made me rethink the power of my voice and my vote and changing reality somehow, like me shaping the world where I live, having the power to do that. So
Yeah.
um I keep asking, God, my angels, my ancestors, my higher self to really help me grow and blossom with Conversations and Courage, because it feels so good.
Yeah.
The feedback that I get from people who tap into the shows, the gems that people receive from the guests that come on the shows, the two co-hosts that I have now.
Yeah.
Um, it's just my passion. So, being nominated for that award is like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah. I
I
love
want to
it.
just see how far we can go with this. And for anybody out there that is listening, being totally transparent,
Yeah.
um, I've been working at this for a very long time. And sometimes you can work at something for a long time and feel like you're working in a silo or
Yeah.
not really understand how or if what you're doing is actually reaching people, if they really even care.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, like,
Yeah. You mentioned that earlier, right? Yeah. You mentioned
yeah.
you're
So,
doing it and doing it. Nothing's, you're watching everybody else having a success, but yours is not hitting yet.
I'm not gonna. I have often made that observation. I'm gonna just keep it.
Yeah.
I hope you are enjoying this week's interview with the number one energy elevation coach, Imani Capri. Be sure to listen until the end for bonus coverage of her show, Conversations Encourage. Now, back to the show.
Conversations encourage, not
Yeah.
cowardice.
You're
So
right.
I say what my truth is at the moment.
Right.
There are definitely certain type of accolades and more support that I would like to have come, that is going to come for
Yeah.
Conversations Encourage. But when I tell you that I have been working going into 6 years now with my show, and it's fully my show,
Yeah.
and figuring out now, like, how can I make this a more monetized enterprise?
Right.
That's all on me
Yeah.
to figure out, and so I'm not bitter. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not bitter, but there are definitely times when I'm like, okay, God, like, you gonna, like, give me a really significant boost,
Right. It's coming, I know, but
some kind
when?
of way, in some kind
Yeah.
of way. But I have to tell you, you mentioned about, revamping the format of your own show and creating a whole new momentum. So
Yes.
last year I made the decision that in order for me to keep going, I needed to kind of like refresh it. Even though the audience is like, oh, this is so great, it's so great. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do something because I'm starting to get bored.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bringing in the two co-hosts,
Right.
shout out to Dr. Shaman Ra and Dr. Kareem R. Ellis. They are personal friends of mine who
Okay.
have been not only friends, but mentors and coaches. And I gained so much value from my relationships with both of them. I was like, this just makes sense. Like, I want to add this extra value to my listeners.
Right.
And it would also help, all of our tribes expand and grow and meet each other. And
Yeah.
so
All these different perspectives. I love it.
yes, it has been like this energizing boost.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have them be part of the Conversation Encourage family. People love the dynamic. So you have Imani Capri, the number one energy elevation coach, motivational speaker. You have Dr. Kareem R. Ellis, the number one breakthrough strategist, who was also a protege and trained by our shared mentor, Les Brown.
Yeah.
And you have a shaman. He's a real shaman. Shaman Ra, a black man shaman. Now, I don't know how many of your listeners just happen to know a shaman,
Right.
but then a black man shaman on top
Right.
of that.
Yeah.
So, and they're so super cool. So we bring a whole just different type of energy to the topics we talk about. And it's fun. And we have some we have some conversations about how we are planning to create some other things from certain topics that we've been having on Conversation Encourage. So I would just encourage people to tap in, become part of our tribe,
Yeah.
and you will continue to see the growth and the things we want to do in the real world
Yeah.
to help people transform their lives,
Yeah.
activate deeper courage, all that good stuff.
I love that because you've got to be in the room with people who are uh, uh, working towards something meaningful.
Yes.
You got to be in the room with that because people
Yes.
who don't want anything, they want company. And so when you're in a room with them, your thinking stops, your activity stops,
That's right.
everything just stops. But when you're in the room with people like that, who are
Mhm.
constantly looking at the future, I look at it when I'm 30 years old and I connect with African American men that I never got an opportunity to work with before, but I'm seeing them with visions and dreams and they're working towards
Yeah.
things. I'm like, man, I could do this. And let's go. And then I go into Black neighborhoods where they're living in nice houses and everything else that I didn't see when I grew up. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, this is possible. So
Yeah.
it's very inspiring to be in rooms with people who are visionaries, who are working towards things. So I commend you on that. And it comes down to being in the arena, right? You got to put yourself in the arena. These great things that are happening for you, they don't happen if you're sitting on the couch thinking about or talking about what I'm gonna do and what I wish I'd have done.
Yeah. And it all comes with what you believe.
Yeah,
What you believe is what you will achieve,
there we go.
and what you believe colors how you perceive,
Yeah,
right? So it is very important that if you have a goal, a dream, something you want to achieve, something you want to do, or something you want to experience,
Mhm.
that you, first of all, believe that it can happen.
There we go. Yeah,
Speak life over it.
yeah,
But sometimes, in order to believe, you have to be in the space with people who have done it, so you understand that it's possible.
there we
And
go.
so I think that, part of what I start really thinking about coming into 2023 with the show is I start seeing how my life is becoming more expansive, and how I am having a network of tremendous people that God is allowing me to have access to, not only because of, connections in public service, but because of having the radio show and the speaking. And I kept thinking, the everyday person is not having access
Right.
to maybe all these gems.
Yeah,
Or, so bringing that to the people on the airwaves is something I was very intentional about. But then now it's like, okay, you have a name, you hear voices and see faces, and you can find them on their social media, as long as you're willing to invest in yourself. They have coaching programs. We have
yeah,
classes. I'm going to be offering coaching programs and classes. So I think what shifted for me in my work with Conversations and Courage this year is like, I really want people to understand that their next level is accessible.
there we go.
Even if they don't know the how, or
Yeah,
even if they are struggling to see an example in front of them, let this be the platform where they can hear other people's stories of triumph all the time,
yeah,
and have access to potentially having these people mentor them or participate in some events.
yeah,
So it's really about what you believe.
yeah. How do you get those individuals who use that phrase you just said, I don't know how do it, or I don't know how I'm gonna do it, I don't know how to do it, so I don't do it. How do you reach those people?
Um,
Or what advice would you have for them?
the first thing I would say is ask for help.
Yeah,
First of all, be honest with yourself. Like, be
yeah,
clear about, like, what do you really want? Where are you, and are you happy with where
yeah,
you are and whatever is going on in your life?
yeah,
And keep it a buck with yourself. Because
yeah.
if you can't be honest with yourself, you're not gonna have honesty coming. You're
Right,
not gonna have breakthroughs and real happiness coming,
right.
right?
You're
So
only
it's
fooling
very
yourself.
yeah, it's very important in the quiet of your own mind, or in the privacy of a journal, especially if you don't have anybody in your immediate environment that you can talk to or soundboard with. You know, ask yourself, am I happy with where I am?
Yeah,
What do I want?
yeah,
And then, okay, God, can you send me some help?
yeah.
Or nowadays, and especially with Chat GPT and all this other AI stuff,
Right.
even if you don't know, you can Google, or you can ask AI,
Yeah.
how do I find, and then fill in the blank,
Right. Shoot,
right? But
Alexa will help you. You can ask her.
absolutely, Absolutely. So, but I think it all starts with, even sometimes people can have all these resources at our fingertips,
Yeah.
but a lot of times it's our self-worth
Yeah.
that determines whether or not we even take the action to ask the question to find the answer.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage to somebody is, no matter where you have been, you are worth everything that you desire.
So true. So true.
I can't sit here and tell you I sound like I have it all together, and I have it way more together than I used to. Okay.
Right.
Where am I where I want to be? I'm still a work in progress,
There we go.
but
The rest
I
of my
got
life.
some great gems and some systems that can help people for sure.
Yeah.
But I sit here as somebody who, as I mentioned, survived almost a decade of childhood sexual abuse.
Yeah.
I sit here as someone who overcame an estranged relationship with my mom for like 11 years, my biological father 15 years, not talking to several of my siblings for 15 years. I didn't have a voice.
Yeah.
I mean, physically I could speak, but in terms of believing in myself and finding the courage to talk about some of the most horrible things I went through and what I learned and how I use Buddhism to transform my whole life. This has been a journey,
Yeah.
and if you were to ask me today, did that version of me see all this? Hell no. I mean, I sensed a few little things, like I think I'm supposed to speak and
Right.
studying with Les Brown. Absolutely not. I wanted to. Once I knew who he was, and I used
Yeah.
to have to listen to his tapes
Oh,
when I was
wow.
growing up. So
Okay.
I was like, huh. But as a kid, when I was listening to his tapes, I wasn't thinking I want to study with him.
Yeah.
Later on, I was kind of like, oh, that would be great to
Yeah.
maybe get a chance to study with him. Did
Right.
I see myself at all in politics? No. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there are a lot of things that I have experienced that are a direct result of me healing my self-worth.
Yeah.
And I would just say to anybody under the sound of my voice who has a dream, who has a goal, who has something that they're struggling to really know, can I do this? Can I achieve this? Can I have this? You most absolutely can.
Definitely.
But you have to believe
Yeah. And
that
get
you
off the
can.
couch.
Yes.
And get off
Yes.
the couch.
And if you need some help, don't be afraid to ask for help,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of people who are suffering right now. So I would just like to encourage, I posted something on my social media today about this, that asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Being open to receive the help is wisdom.
Yeah.
And if you have an answer for everything, and yet you are not happy with your results, that is a sign that change is needed.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Wow. That's powerful there.
Yeah.
Because you have to be open-minded. You
Yeah.
have to be, like you said, you have to seek coach. I don't believe would have ever sat down with my coach had I known she was a psychologist or excuse me, a therapist.
Mhm.
She was presented to me as a coach. I'm like, all right, cool. And I went in there and I had some of the greatest times just sitting down and talking, and it helped me work through some things.
Yes.
And I encourage anybody to go down and sit with a coach, because that's when you get a chance to really clear your mind. We have all this
Yeah.
stuff bottled up in here, and it keeps that self-talk keeps us stationary, stagnant, and we're not
Yes.
moving. So I applaud you for what you do. I
Mhm.
love that. The energy elevation coach. I love it.
Yes.
You bring the energy when you come.
Yes.
As well.
I better.
Can you
Listen,
imagine
if I was listening to somebody like, I'm the #1 energy elevation coach, like, who is this chick? Get her off the. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
If that's the energy now, you
Energy
see what she
and
was
coach,
before.
you ain't representing none of that. We not signing up for what you offering, because it don't look like you got no energy yourself, right? So I could not do that. But what I would say, thank you for that compliment. I like to have fun too. So,
Yeah.
laughter is healing.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on in the world. You have to enjoy this life as much as you can. So I
I
like to have
truly agree
fun.
with you on that one.
But I do want to tell your listeners that a key thing for that mind chatter,
Yeah.
right? And this is so powerful. Another thing that I have tapped into the last year and a half more deeply is meditation.
Mm,
So for anybody, I like to give a free gift. For
okay.
anybody that finds me on social media, particularly find me on Instagram, I am underscore Imani Capri. I am underscore Imani Capri. IMANI CAPRI. Hit me. First of all, you got to follow me.
There we
And
go.
then hit me in my DMs and say, I heard you on Eric Collier's podcast, igniting the momentum episode,
Yeah.
kicking up the momentum, and I would like to connect with you. I'd like the free gift. I will send you a free meditation. One of the things that I do as the #1 energy elevation coach. So when I say that I help people transform their relationship with stagnation, fear, and stress, there's a variety of ways that I do that.
Okay.
Introducing people to meditation, taking them through guided meditations, and I will be offering customized meditations
I like
is
that.
one way to begin getting mastery over your mind. If you want to master your life, the first place you start to do that is through getting mastery over your mind, right? We create like the creator.
Yes.
And how does the creator create? Initially through thought.
There we go.
So what we think literally becomes our reality, even on the subconscious and unconscious levels.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have found, particularly in working with Shaman Ra these almost last 2 years, is that when we become very intentional about disciplining the mind, quieting the mind,
Mm,
and then developing that muscle, then we start to tap into the power that we have to be intentional with our minds.
okay.
So when you talk about that manifesting a certain thing in your life,
Yeah.
meditation is really way more powerful than I think people fully understand.
Yeah.
But that's one of the ways that I help, work with people to transform their relationship with stress and fear and stagnation, is helping them to not only assess their relationship with themselves, but how to enhance and improve that relationship so they can start getting and creating, the kind of life that they want. And meditation is a key part in that.
Yeah. Wow. I like that. I'm sitting here looking at the time. I'm sitting here like, man, I could keep going. I'm loving
Oh,
this because,
I
man,
love
this is
it
all. We're
too.
gonna have to do this again. I love it.
Okay.
I love
I would love to come
it.
back. And we
I
have to
love
have
it.
you on my show too.
Oh man, I would love it. I love it because this is
Mhm.
awesome right here. Just soaking up all this knowledge right here, and just the different tools and techniques that you use and describe. I think this is exactly what I wanted when I invited you on the show.
Thank you. I'm so
So
happy.
I want to thank you for
Mhm.
accepting my invite and coming on here and really dropping some
Yes.
gems to help people really get inspired, get moving, so they can get results. Where can they find you again? Just drop your information one more time for them.
So you can Google me to find my receipts. You can find me on social media. I really do a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm definitely trying to grow Instagram more. So I am underscore Imani Capri on Instagram. You can tap into my awesome radio show on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Conversations Encourage. You can listen at WOVU.org, WOVU.org on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also listen on the WOVU app anywhere in the world. I'm continuing. I am slowly putting up episodes, the video episodes on my YouTube channel, which is
Okay.
Imani Capri. Please follow me there. Facebook, you'll find me, Imani Capri. TikTok, I'm there, but I'm not really
Not there yet.
putting TikTok down the way I probably should be, but you can still find me there.
Got
The Imani Capri.
Mm.
But Instagram is kind of where I am Facebook and Instagram are where I'm like pretty consistent, and I am available for speaking and all that kind of stuff. So, but just hit me in my DMs. I'm pretty accessible right now.
Got you. Well, I want to thank you again because you are definitely shifting momentum. I love that you're doing it for yourself. You're helping others as well. You're a great example. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. And ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the momentum shift, where we're inspiring, we're getting moving, and we're getting results. I love it. I love it. I love it. You got to stop being stuck and get your mind right and start moving forward. Thank you, Imani Capri.
Thank you, Eric.
Hey, and check her out on her radio station, as she's told you, 95.9 FM, WOVU.org.
Yes.
Conversations encouraged, Tuesdays at 11. That's it for me. I'm going to shut up. I got to go.
All right. Thank you.
Enjoy this bonus coverage of the #1 energy elevation coach, Imani Capri.
Interject for the women, because this has been something that came up in like my last relationship a little bit. I'm the type of woman, I'm strong and I'm independent, but I don't have a problem with a man leading in areas in a relationship. But there's a caveat. And the caveat for me is I need to see evidence in your life that you know how to lead yourself first, like effectively. Like, I need to see that you have not led your own life into some BS before you ask me to sign on lock, stock, and barrel. You understand what I'm saying? And like in journalism school, one of the things we were taught is don't just go by what somebody says. What evidence is there to support whatever somebody is saying? So, I'm just putting it out there for anybody under the sound of my voice, who may be listening to this now or see it later. When True Boo shows up over here for Imani Capri, I don't have a problem with us, babe. We can lead together, or I can fall back, whatever. But have the receipts that you're not leading us into, Anyway, we got to go to the break. This buzzer rang, so WOVU listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Oh my God.
I don't go along with the show. I don't shuck and jive. I don't be cheesing with them. I'm very careful who I have in my circle and who I'm connected to and things like that. I will always represent Black liberation, and I guess if it's not about Black liberation or investing in the community or the people, people usually don't want to have nothing to do with me. So that's what I can say about Cuyahoga County. They expected for me to be quiet and sit down and be quiet, but my spirit and my son's legacy, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? My son was 12 years old. There's a video what happened to my son, so there's no way that I should not have an indictment, and Timothy Loman and Frank Brownback should be convicted.
But LeBron was so easy to train. But the first time I met him, he was 14 years old in the driveway here at my house. And his father came to me, stepfather, and said, Alex, I want you to meet my son. His name is LeBron, and he goes to St. V, and he's going to be the next Michael Jordan. Oh, yeah, right. Everybody's got a son that's going to be the next Michael Jordan, except that Eddie told the truth, okay? LeBron was the next Michael Jordan and beyond. He is an amazing talent. He is a great father. He was easy to work with when I was doing media training with LeBron, because, he was in high school. And here I am, coaching him through press conferences and all this. And I said, LeBron, anytime they ask you a question that you can't answer, look at me, and I will go like this, or I'll go like this. And if you don't understand the question, you always say, I'm sorry, could you repeat your question? Because that gives you a chance to formulate an answer. And that's what happens with so many of our young people now, and so many of these athletes and entertainers. When they're asked questions, they react too quickly. Think about it. Media training and media coaching is very important. I turned LeBron into a sports world darling. But that was not just me, that was LeBron, because he was a great student and he had a great positive personality anyway.
anyone around you in your journey that helped plant some of these seeds of you choosing like that higher thought? Or do you feel like this was just the innate wisdom coming out?
Let me tell you something that we all have. As human beings having a spiritual experience, we all have access to something bigger and greater than ourselves that we don't realize because we're so caught up in the so-called rat race or the world, what's going on in the world. But that cave, man, I mean, that sitting there and listening, they say prayers, talking to God, meditation is listening.
That's right.
The listening part, I think we all have access to something really big. And if we allow ourselves to be led, intuition-wise, with this, it could change our lives.
Yes.
But we don't tap into it because you can't see it. But energy is very, very well felt.
Yes.
And it's very connected with intuition.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.